If you're new to the Webull stock trading app, today we're breaking down the 4 different order types offered on the Webull app. I'll be explaining how you can use these advanced order types to automate your trades, and I'll even show you how you can actually practice these order types for free using Webull's paper trading feature. Welcome back, guys. This is Eric of Everyday Investing, and on this channel I'm all about helping the everyday investor like you and I get started saving and investing. So if you're new here today, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification down below so you don't miss any future videos on investing and personal finance just like today's. Before we start today's Webull tutorial video, I do want to briefly mention if you are new to the Webull app, definitely be sure to first check out my full in-depth Webull app review. I'll include the link up above as well as down below in the description. In that video, I explain all the different features offered on the Webull app. But with that being said, guys, let's now start today's Webull tutorial on the different order types. Alright guys, so I made this little chart here to help break down today's tutorial. Today we are covering the 4 different order types, and that does include market orders, limit orders, stop loss orders, and stop limit orders. And lastly, I'll briefly touch on how you can use Webull's paper trading feature to actually practice using these different order types with that feature. I did pull these definitions from order types from investor.gov, which is the website for the US Securities and Exchange Commission, which basically is the SEC. So to find these different order types inside your Webull stock trading app, you're going to want to search for a stock to buy or sell. So let's say for this example, we want to buy a share of Apple. So we're going to type in Apple and open up the Apple stock. Okay, so what you want to do is click on trade, and here it will then open up the buy or sell tab where you can choose if you want to buy or sell a share of Apple stock. Let's say we want to buy, and then you'll choose your quantity, and beneath that is where you see the order type. So this, guys, is where you can choose your different advanced order types. As you can see, there are 4 again, and I'll go over them right now. So firstly, there is the market order. Defined by investor.gov website, market orders will buy or sell the stock or ETF immediately. Now, this guarantees the order will be filled immediately, but it does not guarantee the execution of the price. Market orders generally will execute at or near the current market price. The last traded price is not necessarily the price at which a market order will be executed. This is the most basic order type, guys. This is the one I recommend if you're just getting into investing and not so much trading, because if you're looking to hold an investment, a stock or an ETF for the long term, buying at the market price is not a bad idea. So the market order is basically buying at the market price, at the current price of the stock. Next up, guys, is the limit order, a very popular order type, so let's break it down right now. So what is the limit order? Well, the limit order is defined as limit orders will buy or sell a stock or ETF at a specific price or better. A buy limit order can only be executed at the limit price or lower, and a sell limit order can only be executed at the limit price or higher. So now let me give you a limit order example before I take you back inside the Webull app. So in this example, let's say an investor wants to purchase shares of ABC stock for no more than $10. Well, the investor could submit a limit order for this amount, and this order will only execute if the price of ABC stock is $10 or lower. So let's take this back inside the Webull app now and apply the limit order in a real application. So let's say you want to buy a share of Apple, but instead of using a market order, you now want to use a limit order. The advantage with the limit order, guys, is it gives you a lot more control because it allows you to buy or sell the stock, the share of stock, at your desired price point rather than at what the market price is with a market order. So let's say you wanted to buy a share of Apple with a limit order. You would simply go to order type, change that to limit, and then you would type in your limit price. So let's say the current price of Apple is $194, but you don't want to pay $194. Let's say you want to buy in at $180. So you could type in $180, click OK, then simply click on place order, and basically it will then put your order in the queue. And the moment the share of Apple drops to at least $180 or lower, it'll then buy the stock for you at $180 or lower. So now let's go on to the third different order type, the stop order. Now the stop order is also known as the stop loss order. So let's explain the stop loss order. A stop order will buy or sell a stock once the price of the stock reaches the specified price, known as the stop price. When the stop price is reached, a stop order then becomes a market order. One important thing to note, guys, is that the stop price is not the guaranteed execution price for a stop order. The stop price is a trigger that causes the stop order to become a market order. So that's something very important to keep in mind, guys. With a stop loss order, or a stop order as it's called, it doesn't guarantee that your order is going to execute at that price. It's just that when that stop loss price is hit, it then converts your order into a market order. So let me give you an example. So in this example, let's say an investor wants to sell a share of ABC stock if the price drops below $25. The investor could then submit a stop order for this amount, and this order will only execute if the price of ABC stock falls to $25 or lower. So hopping back in the Webull app now, if you wanted to actually do a stop order, you would want to make sure that your order type is set to stop. You would then set the stop price, and you would then click place order. So let's say that I currently own a share of Apple and I wanted to protect myself. That's what a stop loss is often for. It's to stop the loss. It's to stop from losing too much value from your investment. So let's say I bought a share of Apple at $195 and Apple started tanking one day because of some bad news and it dropped down to, $160. But let's say I didn't want to lose that much money from my investment, and I said if this share of stock drops below $180, I want to get out. I want to sell. Well, you can set a stop price for $180. You could simply type in stop $180, okay, and click place order. So that means it gives you a little protection from losing too much of your investment. That's what the advantage of a stop loss order. So let's now talk about the final order type offered on the Webull app, and that, guys, is the stop limit. So let's now hop back to my chart and explain the stop limit. So this is the final order type offered on the Webull app, and this is the stop limit order. So the stop limit order is defined as an order to buy or sell a stock that combines the features of both a stop order and a limit order. So the stop limit order is a combination of a stop order and a limit order combined into one. Now, once the stop price is reached, a stop limit order becomes a limit order that will be executed at a specified price or better. The benefit of a stop limit order is that the investor can control the price at which the order can be executed. Now, it is important to note that a stop limit order may not be executed if the stock's price moves away from the specified limit price. So in this example, using the stop limit order, let's say an investor wants to sell a share of ABC stock for no less than $50. Well, the investor could then submit a stop limit order with a stop of $40 and a limit of $50. And this order will only execute if the price of ABC stock first falls to $40 and then rises back to $50. So now applying this inside the Webull app using a share of Apple, if you want to place a stop limit order, let's say you bought a share of Apple at $195 and you didn't want to sell it at any less than $205. Well, you could set your limit price to $205, and you could set your stop price to, let's just say, $190. Okay, so what does this mean? This basically means that if you bought a share of Apple at $195, once the share of Apple drops to $190 or lower, the stop limit order will then convert the order immediately into a limit order. And the moment that the share of Apple price goes up to $205 or better, it'll then execute your order immediately and sell your stock at $205 or better. So that is essentially a stop limit order. Again, guys, it is a little more complex than the other order types, but that is the final order type offered on the Webull app, the stop limit order. So now, before we wrap up today's tutorial, I do want to briefly touch on how you can actually practice these different order types on Webull using their paper trading feature. So what you want to do is go to the menu on the bottom right, and you'll see a paper trading icon. If you click that paper trading icon, it'll open up their paper trading account feature. Now, this is a great feature if you're just getting into trading and investing and you want to practice those different order types. Webull's paper trading feature allows you to practice this using paper money. So essentially, you can open up a paper trading account inside the Webull app, 100% free, and they give you $1 million in paper money. So it's paper money, but it allows you to practice the different order types, buying and selling stocks, automating your trades, really getting a handle on the different order types before you actually use them with your real investments inside the Webull app. As always, guys, if you have any questions on the Webull app or any questions for me on the different order types, leave your questions down below in the comments. I'm always happy to answer those questions for you guys. And again, if you'd like to learn more about the Webull app and other features offered on it, be sure to check out my full in-depth Webull app video review. I'll be sure to link up that video up to the right. And if you'd like to see any more of my other Webull tutorial videos, I'll link up that playlist right over there to the right. Anyways, guys, as always, I appreciate you being a part of the everyday investing community. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.